Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. Based on historical reasons, the relationship between China and Japan is not friendly, but out of a fair and open market cooperation attitude, the Chinese market has never rejected the influx of Japanese companies, especially in the semiconductor field. The Chinese market consumes 50% of Japanese companies above order. However, the situation of high dependence does not seem to satisfy Japanese companies. In the 1980s, Japan led the development of the entire chip industry, accounting for 80% of the global market share at that time. Even today's American semiconductors are also far behind. Apparently too much sharpness eventually brought trouble to itself, and the United States soon suppressed it with various reasons, and the forced infiltration of patents made Japanese companies quite uncomfortable. In the end, American companies were able to completely monopolize the market, but in recent years another reversal was ushered in. The Biden team restricted the failure of China's semiconductor industry and began to move Japan's ideas again. The United States used the lifting of the ban as a temptation to make Japanese companies further compromise the tripartite agreement. Japan has officially announced that it will implement a ban on the export of 23 auxiliary materials and equipment on July 23, which means that restrictions on Chinese companies have been upgraded. When it comes to the 45 nanometers range, it is obviously more ruthless than the United States. Japanese companies are highly dependent on the Chinese market, but now they want to destroy friendly trade relations. This is obviously impacted by greater interests, and the business atmosphere is destroyed. After all, Japanese companies are responsible for everything. Panasonic officially announced that it will spend 100 million yen to withdraw production capacity in the Chinese market. Is this going to admit defeat? At the beginning of the 21st century, China attracted a lot of overseas capital investment with its abundant and low-cost labor force. With its advanced technology and craftsmanship, every foreign company that entered the market made a lot of money. After more than 20 years of study, China's manufacturing industry has made major breakthroughs, and the rapid rise of local enterprises has directly eliminated those foreign capitals that are filling up the numbers. Compared with the high-profile, straightforward American companies, Japanese companies are much more low-key. The relatively pragmatic business philosophy has also allowed Japanese companies to enter the world, especially in the field of industrial manufacturing. Even in the core there are no Japanese companies in the technology, but there must be them in the manufacture of high-precision parts, which is why Japanese companies can gain a firm foothold in the global market. It just so happens that the Chinese also have this kind of pragmatism, especially after the United States launched the chip rules. They began to abandon the thinking of buying is worse than buying, and renting is worse than buying, and put all their energy on independent research and development. Those smart and sophisticated Japanese manufacturing industries were directly broken through by Chinese companies, and became hardest-hit areas. Recently, news came that the Japanese electric appliance giant could no longer survive in the Chinese market. It had already withdrawn its battery and photovoltaic panel production lines. According to the report of Nikkei News, this time Panasonic will spend 10 billion yen. Withdrew the air conditioning production line located in the Chinese market, and it is reported that more than 40% of the production capacity will return to the mainland. In 2021, Panasonic will withdraw its Chinese photovoltaic panel business, and in 2022, the A7 servo motor will also be withdrawn. The battery factory in Shenyang has stopped production at the end of May. These businesses will no longer be carried out in China. Obviously, according to the current state of the Chinese market, it is easy to go out, but it is not that simple to come back. After more than 30 years of layout hastily ended, Panasonic has lost the Chinese market, which is also a good announcement that the future of Japanese companies is not good. Obviously, before July 23, Chinese high-level executives will not target Japan. However, the private company Huawei has already started, and more than 30 Japanese companies have received patent fee payment notices. China welcomes foreign investment, but it must uphold the principle of fairness and openness. If the Chinese market today is regarded as 20 years ago, it will naturally not achieve any results, but this time Japan is obviously deceived by the United States. Orientation has been confirmed. After China launched the safety review of Micron, Biden put pressure on Yinxia. Once Micron's shipments are restricted, it must not fill the gap in the Chinese market. To be this bad guy, from these actions, we can see what the United States wants to achieve. After the official announcement that it failed the safety review, Micron immediately announced that it would invest 4.3 billion yuan to build a factory in Lebanon. Goods, but also developed a special chip for the Chinese market. Bill Gates, Genshin Huang, Cook and other American business executives insisted on launching the trip to China despite the express prohibition of the Biden team, and facilitated a series of cooperation, which also proved very well that the so-called US the limitation of the law is simply acting. However, countries such as Europe, Japan, South Korea, etc. have been deceived by the fake show for real, leaving no room for themselves. Panasonic's retreat will definitely not be an exception. If Japan insists on upgrading restrictions, there will be more follow-up. What do you think of Japanese companies withdrawing from the Chinese market?